will just crush them financially, but the kingdom of Judah will survive. And fortunately for the world, the Assyrians don't last that long. But here's an Assyrian carving inside one of their palaces, a carving of an Assyrian hauling away Hebrew slaves. Well, the Hebrew is not just in the Bible, but the Assyrians have records of this also. Fortunately, again, they don't last that long. And the next empire to come along are the Chaldeans. They will get rid of the Assyrians. And they will wage war, again, conquering the Fertile Crescent. They will wage war against the kingdom of Judah. And this time, the kingdom of Judah decides to fight. We're not going to pay tribute anymore like we did to the Assyrians. We're going to start trying to fight these Chaldeans. They will fight back. And in 586 BC, they are defeated. The Chaldeans are pretty good warriors too, not nearly as cruel as the Assyrians. But the kingdom of Judah loses the war. The city of Jerusalem is captured by the enemy. They destroy, the Chaldeans destroy the first temple. It is gone. There will be one later, but the first temple only lasted for a while. And this time, the punishment will be hostages. The Chaldeans, this is the way they wage war in order to keep people down, is to haul off their leaders. They will just take their leaders as hostages, not as slaves, but basically as just a guarantee that the conquered people will stay down. If you try to rise up, we'll execute your leaders. And so these Hebrew leaders, rabbis, priests, wealthy men, military generals will be taken away and held in Babylon, the Chaldean capital. These are the new Babylonians, the Neo-Babylonians. As opposed to the old Babylonians, these are the new Babylonians. And so the Hebrew leaders are taken away to Babylon, and the Bible records what happens to them there. They are held in basically confined in a part, while the rest of the city is completely sinful, according to the Hebrews. And you can understand this. I mean, the Hebrews are very people of law. Their one God demands perfection and behavior, and they're surrounded by all these alien deities that just have all kinds of rites that are just bizarre to the Hebrews. And so it's described as Sin City and how terrible it is to be there. But fortunately for the Hebrews, they're only there from 586 to 539. Of course, that's about 50 years. In other words, if you were taken in captivity, you're probably not going to be coming back unless you were a very, very, very old man. This probably is about 2 generations. This would be like a grandson of one of the people taken away is actually able to return. And so the Babylonian captivity comes to an end. During this time of the captivity, they revised their holy books. These are the learned men, the leaders of the Hebrew people, and so they actually, with nothing else to do except hold on to their God, get together and revise their first 5 books, Genesis, Exodus, Numbers, Leviticus, Deuteronomy, and they actually revise them, pull them together, kind of go through and edit them a little bit. And this is their Torah now. This is the holiest of the holy, this collection of these 5 books together, the Torah. The Greek word is Pentateuch, the first 5 books. And what you have now is a purified monotheism. There is no doubt, there can be no doubt, then the belief is that the Babylonian captivity, the Assyrians, Babylonian captivity is a punishment from God for getting off track. And so we need a purified monotheism. When these guys come back to Jerusalem and come back to the lands that they hold, they will purify monotheism. There will be nothing else tolerated, only monotheism. They clarify their laws, which laws they're going to follow and how to follow them, and the traditions dating back to Moses, how to be correct with the God. So they return from Babylon, and this basically establishes the religion, what Judaism is. Prophets. That prophets come. There's a series of prophets dating back from Abraham to Moses. There's a series of prophets they can communicate with God. God communicates through this prophet to refine things, to clarify things, to give warning when you're getting off track. So the prophets are very important. God has a covenant with the Hebrew people. This is a binding contract. It works both ways. God has obligations to his people, and the people have obligations to God. Lots of laws. It is a very legalistic people and a religion. They also have a different concept of time. We're getting into now really Western civilization, Western concepts, as opposed to Eastern concepts where time just goes in a circle. The Hebrews will present a new element of time, a new idea of time, that there is a definite beginning and a definite end. God created the world, and there will be a final judgment. Time goes from point A to point B. There will be an end. There will be a final judgment day. And there will be a Messiah. Hebrews believe that a Messiah will come. Now, if you're wondering about where does Christianity fit in that, well, Christians will say that Jesus was the Messiah, and Jews will say, no, he wasn't, that they're still waiting for that. The Hebrew religion is very unique, looking at it through the lens of ancient times. If you were an ancient Egyptian or an ancient Hittite or an Assyrian, you would find this religion unique and possibly very unusual and strange. They're one God. You don't see this anywhere else. It's very unusual to see a one God. We saw an Egyptian pharaoh claim there's one God, and that didn't last very long. So it's just no one else has this. Because it's a problem of competition. Other people will say there's a whole family of gods and they fight each other, and that's what causes all the problems on the earth. This God, there is no competition. It's just the one God. He's invisible. He doesn't look like a falcon head. He doesn't look like the sun. He doesn't look like some sea creature. He is invisible. He's beyond conception. He is simply a spiritual entity. And he cares about his creation. He has created man, and he cares about man. It is his creation. Man is in his image, so man is godlike and should be you should worship yourself as an image of God. As you worship God, take care of yourself. Very strict laws, surrounded by people that are very anarchist, without too much structure. And the Hebrews will command themselves to behave a certain way, not because a ruler says so, but because their God says to do this. Very strict laws, very proper behavior, hygiene laws, days that you can work, days that you can't work. And God punishes them. Their own God punishes them when they misbehave. If they get off track somehow, the punishments come from their Father, from God. And then they are a religion that does evolve over time. Conceptions, the prophets, as you go through time, the religion will kind of develop some changes and some developing concepts. The prophets, again, the prophets are a thing through time. They are sent to kind of change and adjust as God wishes. Priests, at some points in their history, they have men who have a certain power over the religion. And then angels, the idea of angels, that these certain women or beings can protect you. And then an afterlife. If you were to ask them about an afterlife, their answer would be, well, we don't really know. But there are some ideas about heaven. These are mentioned sometimes, that the judgment day and perfection will result. And then there are concepts of hell. Some people will talk about hell, that maybe this is hell. Maybe if you aren't behaving well, then this is hell. So different ideas in this religion, all kinds of different concepts. And then the problems. There are problems in this religion, problems that a Christian might have even thought of. They've been thinking about this for a long time. The existence of evil. If you have the one God and he is good, then why is there evil? Why would some innocent people be harmed? Why are there wasps? Why are there germs? Why allow these things to exist? Unless it's just some kind of a game. Is he just playing games with humans? Their belief is that God basically has given you a choice of your behavior, and you can choose one way or the other. It also makes them a little less tolerant of other religions. Today, there's extreme toleration. Jews are extremely tolerant of other people, but back then, maybe less so much. The idea that they are a unique people, a chosen people. They have their one God who stands above all these other people, and so makes them a little bit intolerant. The idea that you've got your Egyptian gods, you've got your Greek gods, and they really don't even exist. Whereas other people would say, no, my gods defeated your gods, and the Hebrews would say, well, your gods don't even exist. That the Hebrews are a chosen people. That's very strange and can cause problems. If you were to tell someone that I have the only God, and I'm the chosen one, then they can make a little angry of people in getting into discussions about religion. When they meet the Romans later on, or anyone who conquers them, and the conquered people will demand that you worship their gods, and the Hebrew response will be, no. And the conqueror's response will be, you must worship our gods. Our gods have defeated your God. And the response will be, your God doesn't even exist. Your gods don't even exist. And they will be seen as kind of a little arrogant amongst other empires who've conquered them.